So we have a top speaker coming up on this stage right now. Let's have a look who he is. Video, please.
Bobby Lee.
Welcome, Bobby. So let me just introduce you so people know what you're going to talk about. So, Bobby Lee is the co-founder of BTCC and is going to talk to you about freedom of money. Do digital currencies still impact finance dramatically? And before he co-founded BTCC, he was actually the vice president of technology for Walmart's e-commerce business in China. And before that, he was the CTO of SMG Best TV New Media, the largest IPTV operator in China with one of the most largest number of global subscribers. So welcome and have a good time.
Thank you. Are you guys all excited? This is my second time in Berlin. Last time I was in Berlin also for a Bitcoin conference. That was in 2014, just 4 years ago. And look at what Bitcoin has done in the last 4 years. It's gone from just a few $100s to, what is it, $7,000 now? Amazing. Okay, so to get you all excited, I'm going to give away some money as well. Would you like that? Yeah. Okay, now I know you guys are awake. All right. So I'm going to talk about freedom of money. So freedom of money is a term that I coined. It talks about we have all sorts of freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom to protest, all these other human rights and so on. But what we're really missing in this world is freedom of money. And we're going to talk about the impact of Bitcoin on finances. Okay, what does it mean to have freedom of money? So today, it's actually all about control. If you look at the financial system, the financial world today, it's all about control. We've been in it for so long. I was born into this system of control. It's almost like, well, it can't be compared, but you hear about the stories in the many, many centuries ago, people being born into slavery. Well, until they were truly free, they were born to slavery and they might live their whole lives in slavery. That's how I feel about money. When I was born, my parents taught me about money, the paper money that we use. It's all about control by the government. And here's what I mean. They have all the controls, whether it's banks, whether it's credit cards, whether it's your online payments like PayPal, Alipay, or also WeChat Pay, very popular in China. I'm sure there's a payment company system in Europe, also very popular. It's all about control because in the end, your money is actually in their control. Even the so-called reward points, the digital virtual currencies, whether it's the points you get with your credit cards, whether it's airline, hotel reward points, those are your so-called, what they call digital assets or your loyalty points. Those are also controlled by corporations. And they have absolute control of your money if you have your money in your bank account. This image is from Cyprus. As you recall, 5 years ago, in April of 2013, Cyprus had a budget crisis issue, and they proposed confiscating money for account holders over 100,000 euros. Do any of you remember that story? Yeah? Did anyone get affected by that? Well, you had to have over 100,000 euros. So they thought that it only affected the rich people. It was okay to do that. But in the end, it reminded us that, hey, this is crazy. Banks and governments can go and do a haircut on my bank deposit just because I have over 100,000 euros. And it was a whole issue. Now, all of a sudden, the euros in Cyprus was worth less than the euros in Germany. So it was a big issue. So people lining up in front of ATMs to get their money back. But it's not just the money in bank accounts. It turns out even paper money, they have control. They have control because the value of the paper money is completely in the hands of the government and the central bank. So some examples, of course, Deutschmark, the war days, the old Deutschmark, some of you collectors may have that. That's worthless today other than collector's value. And of course, in the 1990s and early 2000s, Zimbabwe, African country, all that money went up worthless because of hyperinflation. That's an image of $100 billion for the price of 3 eggs. right? And then more recently, just a year and a half ago, end of 2016, we had Venezuela, what is it called? The Bolivar. The Bolivar hyperinflation, the notes got canceled. And of course, India, some of you from India, the 500 and the 1,000 rupees got canceled overnight, right? So the money, the value is sucked out. So what I have here is probably, I think it's the largest note, right? Euro, 500. You don't see this very often. You probably don't need to see it very often because one day it could be worthless. This is a bad investment. Me holding it is a bad investment. Me holding it, bringing it to the conferences, I keep it with me. I keep it for months and for years. I save it for my children. It's going to be worthless. This piece of paper here today is worth a lot, right? Who would like to have this? See, a lot of people want this. I like it too. It's purple in color. Purple is great color. But if I save this for my daughter and gave it to her for her 18th birthday, bad decision. Bad decision. Because by then, we don't know how much this can buy. And lucky, you know. So anyways, so our future, did it click? Yes. Our future is about money on the blockchain. We're talking about cryptocurrency. So with digital information of the 1990s, with the internet, now we have digital assets. Actually, you may have heard the term digital assets, but the true definition of digital asset is when the digital information is truly worth an asset. So this did not happen until the invention of Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, what we have is mathematics is now the trust. Whereas with this, we're trusting the piece of paper, we're trusting the seal, we're trusting the watermark, we're trusting the maker of this, we're trusting the Central European Bank, we're trusting all these government entities and companies. But with cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin, we're not trusting any person, we're not trusting any government or any piece of paper. We're trusting mathematics, that 1 + 1 = 2 today, and in 20 years, 1 + 1 will still be 2. In 200 years, 1 + 1 is always 2. Now, obviously, 1 + 1 is very simple, but it doesn't matter if it's 1 + 1 or 9 × 9 or some complex mathematics. It's about trusting mathematics. And for the first time, what we have is information is ownership. Think about that. In the past, you had copy information all along, whether it's SMS, whether it's email file attachments. But for now, for the first time, with the Bitcoin private key, information is ownership. So I'll show you this in a bit. With that, we have freedom of money. This is what I mean. So my definition is freedom of money is when you have the freedom to do whatever you want with your own money. And when I say that, part of doing whatever you want is to not do anything, right? When I have this 500 euro note, the problem is I can't just hold it and keep it in my safe or under my bed, because if I just did nothing with it, the value in it, what happens? It goes down, 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 okay? But with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, where there's limited issuance, you can do whatever you want with it because it's just a private key, it's just information. Okay, so Bitcoin was invented in 2009, and for the first time, humanity, society, we now have freedom of money since 2009 through the notion of a private key. I'll show you an example of that, okay? So freedom of money, what is it? Well, this you know already because we're in a blockchain Bitcoin conference. Limited to 21 million, everybody knows that, right? It's information and math, everybody knows that. It's just information and math. There's no special permits, no special chops, no stamps, nothing, just mathematics and crypto. It's borderless and global, and this is very important. It actually transcends the whole humanity. So any continent, any language, any religion, any ethnicity, any sexual orientation, any hobbies, any age group, any whatever religion, languages, the whole world. Even your pets can own Bitcoin, okay? And it's not identity-based. This is very important, meaning the ownership of Bitcoin is not tied to your identity. So, for example, everything else in life is tied to my identity. My home, my bank accounts, even my airline ticket is tied to my name, right? So that means I cannot, think about that. When I buy an airline ticket, they tie to my name. What does that mean? I can't sell it. I cannot give it away to someone else. So it's really not mine. It's really the airline licensing me to ride on this plane. If I can't go, I cannot send someone else in my place. So it's really not mine. Same with homes. I own a home in China, and it turns out they don't allow people to buy more than one home. So there's a lack of buyers because people cannot buy more than one home by law. So what happens is the prices are deflated. So it's all about control. They have all the control. So with something that's not identity-based, you really have the freedom. So here's how I think about this. Anything that's tied to your name requires someone else, a judge, to judge whether you are who you say you are. Okay? That's why identity-based assets are actually in someone else's control. Okay? So because of that, Bitcoin has no third-party control. Okay? Are you ready for the example? So it's all information. How many ones and zeros on this? Who thinks there are more ones than zeros? Raise your hand. No one? Who thinks there are more zeros than ones? Really? More zeros than ones? Okay, equal amount. Okay, so what we have here is some private keys, okay? So I'm going to show you the Bitcoin address. So the Bitcoin address is the account. So for the first time, we have information as an account. Okay, so meaning that's the account. That's the account number, very long string of a Bitcoin account. Maybe some of you are seeing it for the first time. And the QR code above that is the QR code representative of the Bitcoin account. And on the right side is actually the password, right? So that is all it takes to have control of that account. So think about this. This Bitcoin account, is that mine? Well, it used to be mine before I showed you the slide. Right? Before I show you the slide, that account was mine. But now that you've seen the slide, whose account is it? It's a communal account. It's a communal account. So all of us can now share this account. So you can send money to it by scanning the QR code on the left and putting money to it, or you could take money from it. So what happens is I'm going to give out money. So prior to this talk today, I put up 100 euros into this account. Really? I put up 100 euros of my own money in this account. So if you want it, go get it. Think about that. Think about the power of that. So in this case, I can share money. I could have shared $1 million, which I don't have, so I didn't share that. But I have 100 euros. So rather than give out, a piece of paper to one of you, the first one who is technology savvy can go scan that private key on the bottom right corner. Or if you type in the letter KWIAZ, uppercase, lowercase, that's the account password. You can get 100 euros. Okay, I gave you a few minutes already. Who in the audience has gotten the 100 euros? Anyone? Yes? Did you get it? No, he's just yelling. So you guys still have a chance, okay? All right, if you want to take a photo, that's your last chance, okay? All right. So what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is actually money in the cloud. Right? Because just that information showed you that not only can I give out money through information, I can receive money through information. So in the future, donations, charity donations, all they have to do is put up a QR code, and anyone in the world can donate money to that charity organization. It's just one-way or two-way street, okay? So it's actually the ultimate hard currency. In many countries, money movement is very difficult. Okay, some of you come from those countries, some of you have lived in countries where it's very difficult, it's controlled, right? The movement of funds, the capital, the foreign capital controls. So that's why Bitcoin, this is the ultimate utility. It's for people to move money anytime they want, however they want, without anyone else telling them what to do. So Bitcoin is cloud in the money, it's ultimate hard currency. So in the end, Bitcoin is just information, okay? This is why it's called freedom, okay? Your digital assets can never be confiscated. Okay, it can be stolen, but it cannot be confiscated. There's a difference between these two, right? Sometimes if you don't guard it well, it can be stolen. It doesn't matter whether it's a paper money or a piece of gold, right? If I have a piece of gold, I leave it on stage, I forgot to bring it, someone might steal it. If I leave this on stage, someone might steal it, right? Now, but the problem with traditional money like this is that the value in it can be confiscated if they overprint money, whether it's like Zimbabwe dollars, whether it's like in India, they confiscate it. I'll give you another example. Anyone from the UK here? Yes. So just recently, less than a year ago, the £5 British note confiscated. right? Is that right, sir? The old £5 note. If you don't turn it in, if you not turn it in, then it's worthless. I think they're going to do it to the £10 note as well. So it happened in India, it happened in the UK, it happened in Zimbabwe, it happened in other countries. It could very well happen to this note as well, because this note is from series 2002. It's already 16 years old, this piece. They don't print them anymore because they're trying to get rid of this. Cash is a new controlled substance. Okay, so Bitcoin, a digital asset for a digital age. We live in a digital age. We now have a true digital asset. All right, let's talk about some challenges for Bitcoin and the freedom of money. So one of the most often questions I get is, how do Chinese regulators think about Bitcoin? And I turn around and say, it's not what Chinese regulators think about Bitcoin. It's actually what global regulators think about Bitcoin. Because in the end, Bitcoin is global. It doesn't matter what China thinks about it. It's what the regulators together think about it. Okay? So the global challenge of a Bitcoin, there's a lot of challenges. Okay? I'm going to go through them. Decentralized, not a real currency. It violates foreign currency controls. Money laundering, lack of real identity, used for fraud. There are a lot of pyramid schemes, a lot of hacking, security risk, ICO regulations, taxation issues, corruption, graft, speculative trading, market crashes, and then, of course, it competes with government crypto. So those are just a litany of issues that governments and regulators hate about Bitcoin. They absolutely detest it. They absolutely hate it. That's why there's all this negative press about it, because it's just tough competition. And you know what? It's true. Every single item there is absolutely true. All of that happens, some of it for good purposes, some of it for bad purposes. But the judge of good and bad should be you, should be us, the people, and not necessarily just the government. Okay? So what I predict is there will be a coming war on freedom. Our freedom to use money, whether it's cash or Bitcoin. Okay? What I have in here is another thing called the Bitcoin chip. It's a physical Bitcoin that my company makes, BTCC. This is a physical Bitcoin. On the back of this is a sticker with a QR code behind the QR code and a private key behind the sticker. Okay, so this black chip looks like a casino chip. It says 100K on it. 100K means 100,000 bits, which translates to 0.1 Bitcoin. So this is worth, hear the shaking? This chip in the plastic case is worth more than this today. When we made this in 2016, it's only worth like $80, $70. Now it's worth about 700 US dollars, which is clearly more than 500 euros. Okay? So this is a better investment because it's just information. No one can confiscate the value from here. All right. So we're going to have a global pattern to suppressing Bitcoin. We're going to see this continuing, okay? The war on cash, by the way, there is a war on cash. You don't know this yet, but in many parts of Europe already, cash is being phased out. Don't actually think that's a good thing, because without cash, there's no freedom. Because when everything you do, all your money are in accounts controlled by companies and governments, in the end, that's not freedom. That's like saying you work for the master pays you, but the master will withhold the wage and then sell you the food and sell you the housing. You know, that's not freedom. So anyways, so what they're going to do is they're going to regulate exchanges. They're going to ban more bank transfers and certain transactions with Bitcoin exchanges. They're going to control ICOs and tokens issuance. They're going to require more proof of funds. This gets me, okay? Have you guys run into this? Where you have your bank account money comes in and they call you like, where is this money from? And they threaten you that if you don't explain properly, they're going to close your account. It happened to me 2 weeks ago. This big bank in Hong Kong, you know, there's only one big bank in Hong Kong. They called me and they had the audacity to ask, are you Bobby Lee? And I'm like, yes, I am. You called me. And they're like, what's your birthday? I'm like, what? Why am I going to give you my birthday over the phone when you call me? They're like, oh, did you make sure you're Bobby Lee? But you called me. They're going to ask me for my birthday. So I refused. But they say, oh, if you refuse, we might close your account if you don't participate, if you don't willingly, cooperate with this, this account checking every year. Anyways, I I had some money transferred in. My friend sent me some money. They asked me, what is it about? Is it a cryptocurrency transaction? Of course I said no. As for the reality, I forgot. But of course I said no. Right? Not a crypto transaction. Anyways, okay, so more KYC and compliance. They're going to limit transfers. These days, they limit transfers. Even if I transfer my money from one account to another account of my own account name, my same name, they limit the transfers. It's crazy. And then creating a lot of FUD. FUD is F-U-D, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So if you hear a lot of stories that's fearful, tells you a lot of uncertainty and doubt about cryptocurrencies and all that in the news and media, you know who's behind it. It's the government. Okay? So governments worldwide will do more and more to suppress Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. However, the good news is that Bitcoin was actually designed to survive. So I'm very happy about that. And that's why Bitcoin has no name and no identity attached to it. Because this is it. This is Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin. The information on the sticker is Bitcoin. The information on the slide, that was Bitcoin. The slide I showed you earlier with the private key, that's Bitcoin. Okay? And that was 100 euros worth of Bitcoin if no one took it already. So, by the way, there's a small group of people who follow me to all speeches now, and all they do is take photos of that, and they take the money from the accounts. So you guys are probably too slow. They're the experts. Okay, so why do Bitcoin prices keep going up? This is a great question, okay? People ask me, why do Bitcoin prices keep going up? And I have a good answer for you. Well, first, here's the wrong answer. It's not because Bitcoin's value comes from the endorsement, acceptance, or regulation by governments. So Bitcoin's value does not come from government acceptance, regulation, and endorsement. Rather, Bitcoin's value comes from the inherent failures, the limitations, and the inconveniences of the competition, which is our fiat money system, okay? The more this system gives us trouble to use our own money, the more they take away our freedom to use our own money, the more Bitcoin will be valuable. And I have great ambition that Bitcoin will be very valuable because the trend is they're going to be tighter and tighter on this. They're going to phase out the 500 euro. They're going to put limits on your accounts. They're going to put transfer limits. They're going to put deposit limits. In China, now there's a 24-hour delay for transfers. It's crazy. It's crazy. The more they do stuff like that, the more it's going to make Bitcoin more valuable. Okay, so my time is coming up soon. So I'm going to teach you the way to get around this is to hold and invest in Bitcoin, okay? HODL is a misspelling, famous meme going on in the Bitcoin industry. How to hold Bitcoin, but they misspelled it, so it's HODL. Okay, so would you like to learn about this? Yeah. Well, I can't teach you how to invest, but I can teach you how to avoid some mistakes. All right, so the top 4 mistakes. Oh, hold on. So this is my 7 years in the industry. I think I've made these mistakes. There's top 4 mistakes. Are you guys ready? Well, let me see a show of hands. Who's interested in investing in crypto and Bitcoin? Okay, then these 4 are for you, okay? Now, if you guys, when you see it, if it resonates, if you feel like you've made this mistake already, please show with a clap of hands, okay? We'll see how many of you have already made this mistake. Are you guys ready? Okay, now be honest, okay? If you made the mistake, clap your hands, okay? If you haven't, then look around. You're the lucky one, okay? Like everyone else is clapping. Okay, ready? This is interactive. Okay, number 1, it's indecisive to make the Bitcoin investment. Being indecisive. Like, should I buy or should I not buy? Yeah, okay, a few, okay. All right. Number two is after you decide, okay, I'm going to go buy, okay? Number 2 is not buying enough. Yeah, this is good. This gets a lot of people, okay? Because you're like, I got plenty. I got $1,000 worth of Bitcoins. And then it goes up 1,000 times. It's like, oh, man, I should have bought more. Okay. And number 3 is about selling, okay? It's when you sell after just a small gain. All right? So when I say small gain, we're not talking about 1%, 3%. We're talking about not 10, 20%. We're talking about 100%, 200%. I mean, you double, tripled your money, and then you say, double, triple, I sold it in 2014. That's what happens, okay? Yes? Yeah, 2014 sellers? Yeah. Embarrassing. Okay. Number 4 is selling after panic crash. Okay. So the truth is this is very volatile. So we're going to see a lot of ups and downs, okay? So if you're a true hodler, if you're true about this, don't need to sell do it for the long term. What I tell people, hold it for at least 10 years. See if you have the holding power for 10 years, okay? And then if you do, you will get nicely rewarded. Possibly 100 times or 1,000 times return, okay? 10 years. Don't disobey that, okay? All right, so the point is, Bitcoin gives us, the people, freedom of money. Without freedom of money, we don't have freedom. Think about it. All of us have jobs. We work hard. Some people of us have 2 jobs, right? We work hard. We get the money. They put it in the bank account, or they give us cash. We put it in the bank account. And then all we do is give the control of that money back to the companies and the banks and the governments. And then they restrict what we can do with it. And worst of all, they take away the value of it through inflation. Okay? So especially the people who are struggling to meet their lively needs. It's really frustrating to see that the poor people, the ones who are barely making ends meet, their money is constantly being taken away and stolen. So for the first time with Bitcoin, it's a good investment. Crypto, it's the future, and it truly represents freedom of money. Okay? So thank you very much. Please follow me on Twitter. I now have I think 74,000 followers on Twitter, and I have this game going where the number of Twitter followers is my price target for Bitcoin in US dollars. So my price target is $74,000 at least. If you follow me more, the price target will be higher. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you.